Walker, from what you saw just from Jack as well as from Yoshinobu in games 1 and 2, I mean, how they attacked and their approach against the Yankees and just kind of what they were doing, how does that kind of help with your game planning, or is there any information you can take from what they were able to do against them?
Yeah, I mean, all three of us being right-handed certainly helps. I think at the end of the day, it's kind of that weaving what we do well versus what they don't do so well, and I think both those guys did a really good job of kind of going to their strengths when they needed to. So, yeah, they both did really good jobs, and I think at the end of the day, this game, at least from our perspective, is executing what we're trying to do and kind of expecting that to work out well.
I know we've talked about just you pitching on the road, being in these big game situations, just to be back here in the World Series, to be pitching for Game 3 here at Yankee Stadium. Just what does that kind of mean to you?
Yeah, I've never thrown any game other than Game 3 in the World Series, so kind of familiar that way a little bit. But uh, obviously, we were here earlier in the year, but I didn't throw, so never thrown here. So that'll be exciting. And Game 3 of the World Series, it doesn't get more exciting than that.
Other questions for Walker? Fabian on your left, Walker.
Yeah, Walker, you had kind of said maybe the different movement profiles on your pitches last start maybe had to do a little bit with the weather. Is there anything you can do that maybe you can replicate some of those some movement profiles
No,
here?
I
Or anything
mean,
like that?
I think the weather, I think the stadium has something to do with it. So, as I said, having never thrown here, I'm not really sure if that will kind of continue. But yeah, I said it before that game. I like pitching in the cold, and so yeah, hope it gets down there a little bit tomorrow.
Is there anything you've been able to pinpoint that maybe could help continue to keep that swing and miss in your arsenal just for
Just trying to throw good pitches and good counts, man.
The third row in the right center aisle.
Walker right here. We've heard a lot this week from your teammates, about when they're 5 years old, when they're a kid, this is what they dream about, Dodgers-Yankees World Series. As you mentioned, you haven't pitched here, but you're going to get to pitch here in the 12th meeting of these two historic teams in the rivalry. And I know you know the history of the game. Is this also what you dreamed about when you were a little kid?
I mean, to be honest with you, this whole thing has been, right? This year in particular, but kind of my career in general. This is my third World Series, and I think anybody that plays this game for any amount of time would be happy to have played in three of them. So I'm looking forward to doing it again and hopefully coming out successful.
Stay right there with Gabe.
Hey, Walker. What do you take from your pretty extensive postseason experience and the successes that you've had in the past? What do you bring into a game like this? And also, is it the fact that your arsenal is a little different now? Does that kind of neutralize some of that, or do you still combine what you have now with what you've done in the past?
No, I mean, I think in any of these kind of big game scenarios you talk about, it's all the momentum and the hoopla and all that stuff. I think it's just learning kind of how to embrace that. I think pretty early in kind of my career, I learned how to do that in some way. It hasn't always worked out very good, but I think that's the big mental hurdle, and then it's kind of the same game, just on a little bit bigger stage.
In the first row, Walker. Ron.
What has Shohei's presence in the lineup meant, both just as a baseball player and as a person, to the rest of the team?
Yeah, I mean, anytime you add probably the best baseball player in the world, I think it's going to help and frees up some of the other guys to kind of play with a little less pressure or a little more freedom, however you want to say it. But yeah, Shohei's been great. I think Mr. Casson talked the other day about kind of the person that he is, and we didn't really know all that when we were getting him, and he's been awesome in our clubhouse and awesome for our team. So yeah, it's been a cool year watching him, obviously with the 50-50, but just kind of the day-to-day and the kind of human he is as well.
With him not part of the pitching group this year, have you had time to discuss pitching tips or philosophies with him?
Yeah, I ask him about the splitter all the time, but it won't quite do it for me the way it does for him.
Other questions?